Hello and welcome to our number talk. Today we are using the expression 23 times 8, and in a number talk we solve it mentally, no paper, no pencil, and we talk about all the different strategies that we can use to figure it out. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and do that. Take a moment to pause the video, figure out 23 times 8, keep track of your strategy, and then unpause it, and we will look at all the different ways we can use mental math to solve it. All right, so let's start with the distributive property. Always a great place to start. What this does is this lets us break apart one of our factors. So we're going to take 23. We're going to leave that alone. But I'm going to see if I can break this 8 into 4 plus 4. That's just going to be a little bit easier for me to multiply mentally. Now I'm still going to multiply 23 times 8. I'm just going to do it in two chunks, a 4 and a 4. And that's going to let me break it apart into some partial product. So 23 times 4, that's what I'm going to do first. And so that's going to give me 92. That's a little bit easier to multiply than 23 times 8. Then I do it again, 23 times 4 gets me another 92, and that's going to get me 184. So hopefully that's the answer you came up with. Another way we could have done this, and most of us probably prefer this way because it's a great method, is to take our 23 and break it up into place value. Think of it 20 plus 3. Think of it tens and ones just like you do for expanded form. Still going to multiply that by 8. So we're still going to use that there. 8 is going to go into both of those. So we're going to do 20 times 8. That's 160. That's easy. 2 times 8 is 16. So 20 times 8 is 160. And then we're going to take our 3, and we still got to multiply that by 8 as well. And that's going to get you 24. So there you go. There's your 184. A little bit easier to add mentally. We can also use compensation. So what compensation says is, you know what, 23 times 8, that's kind of easy, but you know what would be easier is if I did 23 times 10. Anytime you get a times 8 or times 9, I would highly recommend using compensation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 23, let's see if we can get that working there. There we go, 23 times 10, well that's going to be easy. That's 23 with an extra 0. That's 230 because I added 2 to one of my factors. But still got to, now I got to take it back. I've got to take back 2 sets of this 23. And that's going to be 46. So I got to take this 46 away mentally, and that's still going to get me back to my 184. But multiplying by 10 is a lot easier than multiplying by 8. Doubling and halving could be something that we could use sometimes. So what this does is this says we're going to take one of our factors. In this case, we're going to take 23, and we're going to double it. Look, I've got one set of 23, but now I added another set of 23. So now I've got 46. But in order to keep a balanced expression, we got to take our other factor. If I doubled the 1, I've got to cut the other one in half. So I did have 8. Now I've just got 4. So if you take one factor and double it, the other factor divided by 2 or cut it in half, you have still a balanced expression, and you can still solve your problem as 46 times 4, and that's still going to get you your same answer of 184. That's just a little bit easier to manage. Now we can use the associative property here, and we can take our 23 times 8. We're not going to be able to break apart our 23. It is a prime number, but we can break apart our 8. We could say, you know what, it's really 4 times 2. So I've got my 4 times 2. Now, the associative property is also called sometimes the grouping property. So if you have 3 or more factors, in addition it has to be 3 or more add-ins, you can change the grouping. Right now I've got 4 and 2 grouped together because that's what I broke 8 apart into. But I could take my 23 and 4, and I can bring those together and leave 2 on the outside. Same 3 factors, 23 times 4 times 2, but I just going to input 23 times 4 together in a group. Now, I want to make it look right, so I'm going to switch the order of these two. 23 times 4. I want 2 groups of 23 times 4. That is allowable here because I've got the order property, the commutative property. I really don't want 23 groups of 4. Rather do another commutative property, so you can use it twice. You can put these factors in any order you want to. I want 4 groups of 23. That's what I've got listed right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 23. Why would I want 4 groups of 23? Well, that is going to get me 92. And now I've got 2 groups of 4 groups of 23. Well, I'm just going to take 92, 92, and that's going to get me my answer of 184. And we can also use the associative property. Remember, we can't really break up that 23. And 8 can only be broken up into a 2 times 4. But what we could do is we can just make it look slightly different. We can say it's really 2 times 4. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say 23 times 2 times 4. You notice how we keep the factors exactly the same. We're just going to switch the grouping. But now we got to use our commutative property again. 4 times 23 groups of 2. Oof, I don't want 23 groups of 2. Let's switch that again. 4 groups of 2 groups of 23. This just lets me skip count by a different number. I've got 2 groups of 23. So that's going to be 46. And that lets me skip count. I've got 4 of these. So that's going to be 46, 92, 138, and then 184. So this is our number talk for 23 times 8. If you found another way, that's fantastic. Go ahead and drop that comment in the video. If you are a teacher and you want this copy of the slide deck for your own educational use, feel free to grab it off my website, 5minutemath.net.